Okay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Shamong Township Committee meeting of May 6, 2025. Sue, would you read the sunshine statement, please?
Please be advised, proper notice of this meeting has been given in compliance with the open public meeting.
Thank you. Take the roll call, please.
Mr. DeCroce,
Here.
Mr. Diamond,
Here.
Ms. Mazitis,
Here.
Mr. Wilkinson,
Here.
and Mr. Woods.
Here. Ladies and gentlemen, we invite you to join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, let's start with public comment. If anybody has any public comments on anything in the agenda that we haven't heard in the past, please come on up, identify yourself, where you live, and we will be heard. Okay, seeing, yes, ma'am.
Not the agenda, but I wanted to introduce myself as a newer resident of Shamong. I'm Chrissy Kalor. I live on Lexington Court.
Hi, Christy, welcome.
Thank you. I run Out of the Woods Rescue. It's a nonprofit animal rescue. We're foster home based, meaning we do not have a brick and mortar facility. We utilize foster homes in our community to house our dogs and cats that are awaiting homes. That being said, I just wanted to make the township aware that we offer free spay neuter services for people who may be struggling getting those services for their pets. TNR for cats, spay neuter return. There's a lot of feral cats in this area. We've already been helping quite a few people and neighbors with those problems. So we don't come in and remove cats. We're not animal control, but we can help with spay neuter return and alleviate some of that overpopulation. So
Great. Well, welcome to Shamong, Chrissy.
you.
Happy to have you here. Maybe we can get her on the webpage.
Yeah,
Would
if you
you,
could
if
give me
you'd
some
like that?
information so we
Sure.
can share that with other people
would
when
be
they call in.
Yeah, we could even do like a secondary email address that's just for the township for people that you can just give them our email and then
Right.
they can filter.
Yeah,
"Hey, I've
if
got
you just
cat
want to email that to me,
problems."
my email address is
Sure.
on.
Yeah, I have some cards. too,
If you can
that's-
drop them
Yeah,
off,
we'd
that's
love to
fine.
have those cards. If
Okay, great.
give them up now and I'll pass them
Yeah.
out. So,
And also, if you have any needs for like the rabies clinic, we can do that free
Thank
of charge. We have 2 veterinarians on our board, so they would be able to provide those services.
that's great. That'd be great.
That would be, I don't know, I know you have one, I think, is it this weekend, a rabies?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, it was last weekend. Okay, I don't know if that was a charge to you guys or not. but,
Well, we have a volunteer that does it, but we'd love to plug you guys in on that and
Yeah.
appreciate you offering.
Yeah, of course, maybe we could do like microchipping alongside or something.
Awesome.
Anything we could do to help, I'm happy to be a resource to you guys.
All right, that's
And
perfect.
then, lastly, I'll take this up with the state police, but I wanted to donate a microchip scanner to the state police. So when you guys find stray dogs, you can scan them and try to get them back to their owners and alleviate animal control and the animal shelter having to come out and people not getting their pets back because the shelter's closed. So if they can scan them, then we can get them back.
Is that for our state police?
Yeah.
Okay, that's Trooper Curran right there. And Chrissy, you're getting a present, even if it's your only first time you came. Very
You
nice.
can accept it or, so that would be great. We did donate one to Medford Township and Medford Lakes as well. So thanks.
Thank
I'm
you.
3
Well-
weeks away from having a baby.
Oh,
so
good for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Nice meeting you as well. Anybody else have any other comments? Okay, seeing and hearing none, we'll close the meeting to public comment and move on with items for discussion and possible official action. First is the approval of the minutes for the April 1st, 2025 regular and executive meeting. Everybody had an opportunity to review it. If so, and there are no questions, could we have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Mr. Wilkinson,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
Ms. Mazitis,
Yes.
Mr. Woods,
Yes.
Mr. DeCroce.
Yes, next to the building and grounds, an update on this landscaping and new fire codes and the septic repairs. We had a septic issue here about a week ago. It looks like somebody was putting wipes down in the toilet. So if you can be mindful not to do that. I think we posted it.
Posted signs in the stalls to remind people to be kind towards septic system.
Yep. Okay. And then how about the landscaping and new fire codes? Can you give us an
Yes,
update on
the
that?
code and insurance company made us aware of this, that we have to have 18 inches space between any mulch in the building, even though I showed them a picture of a solid block building. they would not get back to me on that, and they said that the code is 18 inches. Additionally, there is elevation on the shrubs between any overhangs and on this front wall here, which faces Stokes Road. We had very overgrown shrubs. This building is, what, 46 years old. And so we pulled them all out, and we're working on the mulching the stone base. And we have a possibility for an Eagle Scout to help us out with putting in the shrubs along that wall to replace them. I'm sure we will definitely, as a community, we would have been paying for some of that anyhow, so we'll help him out, but he's gonna help us with planning and putting things together.
I have a couple kids that are looking for community service, so I can send them over as
Okay,
well.
yeah, as far as what the Boy Scouts can do, and right now we're trying to target plantings for the fall because that's easiest for that kind of thing. You plant them in the summer and you're killing yourself with dragging water on them every day and keeping them soaked so we don't lose them. But looks a little different right now. The guys power washed everything. The building looks wonderful on that side. It's best it's looked in a long
Okay,
time.
great. Thanks for taking care of that and working through the septic repairs. I know that was a difficult couple days.
Yeah, it was.
Next, we're going to go to the approval of the 2025 Emergency Operation Plan update. John Lyons, good evening.
Yep, good evening, John Lyons, OEM. You all had, I believe, an opportunity to take a look at the document. Just for a little bit of history, every 4 years previously, the state of New Jersey requires every town to have an emergency operations plan that is very comprehensive for all hazards. It's separated into different annexes with different owners, with different perspectives on areas of concern for planning, for response, et cetera, and how we would operate during times of a declared emergency. That time frame has accelerated now from every 4 years to every 2 years, so that towns keep their plans formally more current. Our process is that the document was reviewed and updated by those owners, been distributed to the committee for your review. I actually have already collected the signatures, so there's no resolution or action required by the committee. I just wanted to give you the opportunity to publicly acknowledge that the plan has been updated. See if you have any questions after tonight's meeting. I'll be sending it up to Burlington County, who reviews it. It eventually goes to the state, and then we're good for another 2 years, and we'll just continue to repeat this cycle. This is probably my third or fourth revision on this plan, I think. So,
Do you have all your required signatures now?
I'm sorry.
Do you have all your required signatures?
I have all the signatures that I need, and we're good to go. So unless there's any questions, this will be completed. It's due by the middle of May to the county, and it's due to the state by June 1st. So we're well on time for this.
All right, great. I think it looks good, John.
Yeah,
Anybody have any
it's-
questions or comments of John?
The document's been downsized and sort of right-sized, I think. It used to be extremely heavy and just a lot of Roman numerals inside. It's a much more straightforward template now. So
It's
put our
double-sided. It's
updates
still
to-
kind of heavy.
Yeah, it feels like an egg. That's what you gotta say. It's good work, but I appreciate everybody, the emergency council. That's what I needed to go on record to make sure everyone acknowledges that our volunteers, the chief, the fire, the State Department, the forestry, everybody takes a look at it at one point or another. So
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank you.
John. We appreciate
Appreciate
your
it.
work.
Thank
Chief, do you have any comments? Okay,
Much better, much shorter now. I think
Yeah.
my two sections went from, what were they, about 8 or 10 pages long a piece to about a paragraph each.
all right, that's great. We
But John, you
appreciate-
still need us to formally adopt that, correct? Or you're good with that?
I don't believe that unless the township has a requirement, and we've actually not got a resolution to adopt it. So I'll get a memo back from the state telling me it's good.
That's all you want?
That's
Okay,
all I
because, a motion is a resolution.
I'll go ahead and transmit it
Okay.
this week.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Chief. Next is a 2025 budget introduction.
So this document is just in the state format. It's everything that we discussed over the months this spring. The local purpose tax for Shamong Township is unchanged. And I believe that, I'm trying to remember what I didn't bring up with me, the school tax obviously is going up, so is the Lenape District tax is going up. And I still don't have a final word on the counties. So it's not going to be finalized for another month or so. For Shamong, we introduced tonight, typically, final adoption would be at the June 3rd meeting. However, this is a review year, which means everything would go up to the state, has to be reviewed and signed off on them before we can actually do a final adoption. And then we would have to address anything that they might come up with.
Just for the benefit of the members of the public, what is going to be the tax increase for the local town?
Shamong Township will be nothing.
So we're like $1.10 per month.
Yeah, something like that.
So it's going to be
Maybe $2.
$13 or $14 a year. This year, I think we're going to escape the large school tax. You may recall last year, most houses got hit for about $1,000.
Yeah.
And I think I figured out what's going on with the school board. I think they go from town to town. So
Yeah,
every
he does.
3 or 4 years you get hit. And so they don't equally distribute their, I guess, complaints from the neighbors. And this year, I think it was Evesham, and their taxes are purported to go up 25%. So our taxes, that doesn't mean we're not going to have a tax increase for our school taxes, but it's going to be in the range, I think, of about $300 or $400. So,
Not
Good.
great, but not as bad as last time.
yeah, absolutely. Does anybody have any questions or comments on this document, lengthy document?
So a question on surplus, just historically, how do we look on surplus?
Well, historically, we're pretty close on line with where we were last year, but last year we ended up canceling a bunch of expenses to get to that point.
Okay.
Because we had a lot of money outstanding on DOT grants. So, this year coming up, we're not gonna have as much money to cancel, so it all. Hopefully, we didn't take too big of a piece of the pie to offset the grant money coming in, but we tried to get that balanced out.
Okay. How do you,
But every year we're chipping away.
okay, so we're historically lower than.
Yeah.
What do you know, like the last time we were kind of at a high and what that number looks like? So it looks like we're at, that 1.3 million
Yeah, 1.3 million
Yeah.
is what we're using in this budget. just
of
over-
what we're using.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're using just over 1.3. Last year, we used 1.3 flat.
Okay.
So we're using a little bit more this year. I think it was 1.33.
Anybody else have any questions or comments? So do we need a motion on this first introduction?
You do.
Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Ms. Mazitis,
Yes.
Mr. Woods,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
Mr. Wilkinson,
Yes.
Mr. DeCroce.
Yes, next is the Burlco JIF Insurance Fund, the Commissioner's Report of April 15th, 2025. Other than them making us move our bushes and create an unnecessary expense, anything
Well,
else?
the safety incentive program, we qualified for a $750 bonus for the year, which was nice. And other than that, everything is pretty much a standard meeting. We also did our annual safety and claims coordinator training day, that same day. They did have a good training on cyber security, which is becoming an elevated concern for everybody.
Anybody have any questions? Okay, nothing needed on that. Next is the Southern Regional Trails, a feasibility study update.
This was done via Zoom. We had a meeting with Southampton Tabernacle. I was on the call for Shamong Township, and then Brunswick County Department of Resource Conservation and Taylor Design Group, which is working through and developing a trail and bike path, which will, in our town, pretty much follow the PSE&G right away. Express some concerns and where they're placing it. Some of the area looks like between Medford and us might be some wetlands, so they're going to readdress that. We also expressed concerns of high illegal use of the ATVs and motorcycles in that area along Packernell Trail. So they were going to try to identify that and put up some additional signage. But they are trying to connect our end of the state with a lot of trails are up in Camden County and just more access off-road that people can walk and bicycle on.
Yeah,
It's
that
not-
would-
it's
that would
not
be a
gonna
great-
Anything more than that.
It's
They-
something
they-
that we,
They
I'm sorry.
said this was the first step of probably 1,000. They've got financing to do, they've got plans to set, and if they get everything done that they want to do, it'll be about 50 miles that they're adding between all this area. So it's a big chunk of work they're doing, and it'll be nice for the residents and residents of New Jersey once it's done.
Yeah, we've been talking about bike trails, especially along Grassy Lake Road, to see if we can get something safe for the kids to be able to ride their bikes back and forth to school. And this, I think, would be a great thing, give people another opportunity. I mean, we have Dingletown Field, but another place where they could go out and exercise. So that's good news. Next, we're road work. Joe, do you want to deal with this or shall I?
You can go ahead.
All right, so the state of New Jersey will be repaving Route 206 with a 3/4 inch overlay known as an ultra-thin friction course rumble strip and striping from Park Avenue to Willow Grove from May 13th to August 29th, a long time.
Well,
From,
they gave us the whole program. They don't know exactly when they're coming out, and we've had a lot of emails, as you know, in the past week, and we're not allowed to say anything to anybody about them, so when we can release the information, we will, but everything is contingent on the weather.
okay, so that'll be a good thing as well for us. It's something that we requested. And it'll make the road, I think, safer. And then Burlington County to begin a repaving project on Tuckerton Road, 100 feet from Route 206 up to Oakshade Road. We
So
have an
we've
idea?
started some of that work. Some of it has to do with some utility upgrades under the road. And I know I was over it on Sunday and so I saw where they're doing markouts, and also they'll be working there in the next couple of weeks and wrap it up.
Yeah, well, they always take care of that in our town, so we're grateful for that. Next is a report from the Burlington, next would be the New Jersey Department of Transportation State Aid Program.
So the last 3 years, we've applied for and received grants for at Sign Road. We did the two southern phases at the southern end. The 2025 is the northern end that connects from Medford coming south. So the next grant cycle is here. The applications are due July 1st. In June, we'll have to adopt a resolution of support for the grant application. So we need to identify what we want to apply for.
Okay.
Um,
Joe, is it possible to include a bike trail along that to make it a little bit wider?
Sure. In the grant application, yes.
I know from historical, we did do that along a lot of Atsign Road, but when we got closer to the lake, you remember this?
Not much room up there.
There wasn't much room to widen it. The Pinelands course kind of,
Triggered a bunch of studies and requirements that were deal killers for the expense of it.
we tried, yeah, and if you drive Atsign there, you'll see just as you get past Will Grove, it goes back to the original width because we couldn't get past all the Pinelands extra costs that were.
Well, maybe we take what we can get, and I mean, the bikers are riding there anyway.
Yeah.
They're used to being on the road, but it'd be nice if we had something.
Working with a look too, with the passage of time, maybe.
Right.
The rules have changed, or they look at it as a new project and we can get some more done.
We might be able to even get a little wider shoulders,
Yeah,
but not
exactly.
necessarily a designated bike lane. But
Mhm.
just get a little more space, a little more protection.
Right.
That'd be great, Joe. If you can include that, that'd be awesome.
Okay, so you want to continue coming
Yes, sir.
south from phase
Um,
3?
Can we meet with Public
Sure,
Works and see
absolutely,
if they have any concerns?
Absolutely,
All
yeah.
right.
Yeah, we have time. We have some time.
Next is, thank you, Joe. Next, a report from the Burlington County Board of Health regarding well testing.
Yeah, we've recently received a couple of well tests that had PFOA and PFOS, the well contaminants. And they did say that some of their testing requirements have dropped as far as how much they're allowed to have in this, but from what I've read up and looked on these chemicals are targeted as forever chemicals. They're very hard to get rid of. They're some are naturally occurring, some are environmental concerns of just the way we live these days. But they did say that there are water filtration systems that you can put on your house that will filter these chemicals out. As I always do when something new comes up with well testing, I reach out to the Board of Health and they said that, and it depends on what type of filtration system has, but most of them will take care of these chemicals. And they would also say that if there's a larger presence of them, that they would probably be able to qualify homeowners for some aid, but at this point in time, there's not enough known on it.
Okay.
Yeah, we have some of the most stringent levels in the nation for sure, like well below what EPA.
Yeah.
So a
And
lot
every
of
time they
times-
lower them, all of a sudden we get these new.
a lot of mailers, yeah,
Do we
it
kinda
freaks
know what-
people out, but it's like the levels are very low to trigger these warnings.
Do we know where, is there like a pocket where it would be coming from or
Um,
have we?
So we've had that occur with lead in the past, but these are different areas. So that is something that, my office looks at when we get these reports in, because we actually had two reports within a month of each other, and they were not logistically on top of each other, but so we'll continue to monitor as these come in. And we get these reports in as a parcel of when somebody sells a house, you have to have a water test done, and that's what kicks these in. And of course, this time of the year, people are selling homes to get the kids into a new school district or whatever, so.
Okay, well, it's probably something we should put on the web as well, and maybe send out a,
I think Joanne's already put some information. We've already discussed that for information on what they would do and what these contaminants are.
Okay, and maybe an email blast. I think it's important enough to warrant that let people know that this is a concern, and that way they at least can have a heads up and put a filter.
Yeah, and they should know too, this is 2 houses. It's not the whole
Right,
community.
understand.
And we want everybody should be concerned, but we don't want to.
We don't want to panic
Okay,
everybody, but
yeah.
one of the ways to avoid that is just by good communication.
Mhm.
Okay, great. Thanks for that. Next is the Seneca Seniors Day of Service, which will be held on May 28th, 2025 from 9 a.m. till noon. Do we have any details on that, sir?
Yeah, they always come out and help with putting some bedding plants in for us, cleaning up the yard of any, the guys pick up all the time of the recycling all, but they pick up around the yard. I know that they do the firehouse as well, so they're all over the seniors.
I guess we don't want to have them plant anything because of the dead of summer. We'll lose that. It'll be a good opportunity. Maybe they want to come back in the autumn.
We've talked about maybe putting some grass, the ornamental grass, and that might do all right through the summer, so I'll have to look that up, but that's one of the things we're considering they can do. But
Okay, all right, great.
and also be mindful and work with the Boy Scouts, who's on the Eagle Scout.
Yeah, and we thank them for every year they do that. We're appreciative of that. Next is the Indian Mills Volunteer Fire Company, which is going to once again help us with a Memorial Day Remembrance Ceremony, which this year is going to be on Sunday, May 25th, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. And it will be at the cemetery again this year? Or are we going to do it? We're going to do it at the memorial. Okay. We have not moved that yet, right now?
Yeah.
All right, so
We'll look at it.
we still got time. We probably won't get that done. We're still
Just a
on the,
reminder that the Indian Mills Road is closed during that. It's brief.
For sure.
so we would encourage all of you, not only our veterans, but everyone in town to come out. It's a great opportunity.
The bike's gonna be there again. Bicycle decorating contest, so that's always fun.
Yeah, so that's a good thing for the kids.
Melissa's helping us out with some of those activities. You're all invited, of course. I know I've heard from a few of you that you'll be attending.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Mayor Mike will be able to say a few words.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. My pleasure and my honor. Anybody have any questions or comments about that? All right, next is the Indian Mills Volunteer Fire Company request for a coin drop on Saturday, June 14th, with a rain date of June 15th. It's a good function. We're very supportive of it. You get some good money there and downtown Shamong. And anything you want to say about that?
Yeah, it corresponds with a baseball tournament that's gonna be at town. We without having the dragway anymore, there's and I actually spoke to the Knights of Columbus guys that were collecting last weekend, and they expressed what we felt, is that the traffic volume is down, which I'm sure helps your traffic studies. But since there's not that through traffic anymore, reach out to IMA to try to find it, to correspond it with days where there's other activities in town. And so that both the weekend of the 7th and the 14th, there are some big events happening over at Dingletown. So if they have those tournaments, we're hoping it draws folks over to Wawa and it might help our efforts.
Okay, great. I think that's a great idea.
Mike, we do need to have a blanket motion on items 11 and 12 because we've got road closures and presence of the coin.
Thank you. Okay, can we have a motion on 11 and 12, which is the Memorial Day Remembrance and the request for the coin drop?
I'll make a motion to. approve
Thank you, Megan.
11 and 12. I'll second it.
Thank you, Neil.
Ms. Macias,
Yes.
Mr. Wilkinson,
Yes.
Mr. Woods,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
Mr. Okochi.
Yes, next is the engineer's report on the Shawnee Lane parking evaluation.
Yeah. So if you recall last meeting, I guess there was a couple questions or concerns about where parking is or is not permitted on Shawnee Lane. So I took a look at it and the road itself does comply with RSIS, which is the state's residential site improvement standards, so for road sizes. And so what we found is that there's a 30-foot roadway, other than the entrance area, there's a 30-foot roadway, which permits parking on both sides with a 16-foot, they designate 7 feet as the parking lane. They have 16 feet passable through two-way traffic, which is in terms of RSIS acceptable. The entrance area, they're 20-foot lanes each. So with a 7-foot parking lane, there's only 13 feet. So there's 2 state standards in Title 39. One basically says you have to leave 15-foot clear. So basically that precludes parking in that front area. You cannot obstruct a 15-foot path through the roadway. So on the entrance, it's a divided island. So 20 feet wide, obviously there's takes 7 of that. There's only 13 feet to pass through. So there's no parking by state statute there. On the rest of the road, it would be permitted. There's no restriction. I looked at your no parking restrictions in your ordinance, and obviously that road isn't listed as parking being prohibited, so.
And that's true for both sides,
And that's,
true for both sides throughout the rest of the development.
yes, the entire development with the exception of that entrance area that's divided.
Joe, when you went there, was anyone parking at the entrance area?
No,
And was
just
there
me.
any, just you, and anybody parking on any of the streets? that you
I
know?
did not see anyone I was there.
Okay, so you don't think it's an area of concern other than what you've identified as the entrance area?
Correct,
Would you recommend that we put up no parking signs at?
at the entrance area.
Yes, sir.
Not, maybe you can do a study, have somebody come through and see if you see cars parked there. I can't suspect you would have too many cars that would actually park there.
Yeah, wouldn't
It really is like an entrance drive.
It's already covered under the state code though, correct?
Yes, it is. It is. So, at that point, it becomes an enforcement. If somebody parks there, you could go out and enforce that if you wanted to, or you had the ability to. Sure, it's a little difficult
Right.
without having your employees.
Okay. Anybody have any questions or comments?
Unless you observe significant amount of parking in that area, I don't think I would,
It's a non-issue, it sounds
I
like.
don't think so, no.
Okay, all right, great. Appreciate you handling that for us.
Same thing, sorry to interrupt you, but if you find that there are cars parking there and they are creating, say, 2 landscape trucks and you don't have 15-foot clear, that does violate Title 39 and that can be enforced too.
Okay.
So just keep an eye on the parking patterns there and we might see that it's not too much of an issue. 16 feet isn't a great distance for 2 cars to pass, but legally it is legal.
Got it. Okay, good. Next is the gypsy moth treatment. That's gonna be in a very designated area this
Yes,
year and a
so
short period of time.
This map is on our website. There's a lot of information on it as far as the treatment goes. There's a 35 acre area, which is just north of, just south of East Stokes Road. And that right now, as we speak, will take place tomorrow morning, probably around 9 a.m. Unless the weather bumps are scheduled, but as of 3 o'clock this afternoon, that was what I was, the information I was provided.
Okay, so if you see the yellow plane buzzing over the trees, don't be concerned, but don't be breathing what they're spraying. As we used to do when we ran behind the trucks with the white spray and no one ever told us, don't do that. The Burlington County Revised Election District. So some of you may have wondered why you're in
Everybody
new.
should have got one of these
district.
letters from the county. At the very bottom, it'll show you your old district, your new district, and where you're voting. I can say that for probably about 99% of the community will still vote in the same building you are. You might have switched from District 1 to 3 or 2 to 4, but there's only a very small area that went from District 1 to 2 or vice versa, and that's up here. I don't know if you can see this, these little areas in yellow. They're the only ones that might have a bigger impact. If I could go from, but like I said, for the most part, everybody's still voting in the buildings they are. Also look at your ballot when it comes in, and if that doesn't make sense to you, give us a call and we'll direct you where you need to go. But everything should be on the ballot. It definitely was on the letter you received. I know I personally received one as well. So this is not anything the township did. We've got a lot of calls on that. This is done by the county, and it was meant to shift people around so that each district would have about the same amount of active voters in it to take down some of the lines in the polling places.
Brian, do you have any other insight into that?
Not too, I think it's statewide, I think triggered by a census. I don't know if this happens every 10 years or the census wasn't too long ago and there's redistricting throughout the state. So I think this is just following that. I don't think we're the only county that did it, but I'm not positive.
Okay, so basically you're gonna go probably to the same building
Mhm.
and they may say you're in District 1 or you're in District 3, but it's not something that we wanted or that felt the need for, but state law, and so we've complied with that. Okay, next, we're gonna go on to resolutions. 2025R-52, which calls for the restoration of energy taxes to the municipalities. Is there an update on that?
Yeah, this is something that was recommended, and definitely I support this as well for the state of New Jersey, as you know, has been kind of robbing from Peter and not paying Paul being us. This year we lost eight of 635,000 because of the energy tax being flat for so long. And in the past 10 years, it's 5.78 million that we've lost. So we would have no roadway problems.
We would be all right.
We wouldn't have to be so creative with our finances to get things done around here. But
So that taken together with the non-payment or diminished payments for our forest.
Mhm. The
Uh,
pilot funds as well, that's
yeah,
another
it's another co-
5,000 a year.
Yeah, so that's a
Big
big
number.
knock.
Yeah.
Okay. So if we can get that back from the state, although
Even if they give us a portion back, I think everybody would be happy. A
Yeah.
good point, because we've been with that for so long, but it's at the point now where it's really starting to tie our hands.
okay, do we need a motion on this?
We do.
Everybody had an opportunity to review it.
I'll make a
So we
motion.
have a motion.
Yeah, oh, sorry, I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Mr. Woods?
Yes.
Ms. Mazitas?
Yes.
Mr. Diamond?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkinson?
Yes.
Mr. Cochi?
Yes, next is 2025 R53, which authorizes the change order number 1 for a partial payment to all J's LLC related to the 2024 local recreation grant.
This, if I can, this is for a change order to the project in Dingletown Park for the repaving of the asphalt paths. If you recall, we got $66,000 in a grant award. When we bid the project, our low bid was $51,006. So in an effort to maximize the grant funding, we added additional path that needed to be replaced to the project. So that drove the cost of the change order and the contract amount up. So that's the purpose of the change order. And then that's his first payment. There's still, he couldn't get his closeout documents together in time to get the payment in. So this is his first payment, and we'll close it out at the probably next meeting.
Got it. Okay, good job. That's great. Any questions or comments? If not, can we have a motion?
I'll motion.
Thank you.
Take a second.
Thank you.
Mr. Diamond?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkinson?
Yes.
Mr. Woods?
Yes.
Mr. Crick? Ms. Mazitas?
Yes.
Mr. Cochi?
Yes, next is 2025 R-54, and this authorizes the cancellation of property taxes for a totally disabled veteran, block 19.01, lot 12.04. We've discussed this many times in the past. This is a tax cancellation for a veteran that complies with the state regulations. If there are no questions or comments or concerns, can we have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to.
I'll second your motion.
Ms. Mazitas?
Yes.
Mr. Woods?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkinson?
Yes.
Mr. Diamond?
Yes.
Mr. Cochi?
Yes. Next is 2025 R-55, which authorizes the lien against property located at block 8.01, lot 8 for cost of property maintenance performed by township employees or contractors pursuant to the Shamong Township Code at Chapter 136. Sue, do you know what the amount of the lien is?
Yeah, it will be a total of $2,250, and that is for us to have the landscaper go in and clean up the property, and then they will mow it throughout the summer. And just for the record, this is a multiple year offense on this property. It's 37 weeks chief, and we have done this process now for probably about 4 or 5 years, I'm thinking.
So we've given adequate notice and asked them to remediate.
And every year they don't, so we're just moving forward with this.
Does anybody have any questions or comments? And if not, can we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Mr. Wilkinson?
Yes.
Mr. Diamond?
Yes.
Ms. Mazitas?
Yes.
Mr. Woods?
Yes.
Mr. Cochi?
Yes, next is 2025 R-56, which is legislation, it's opposing legislation that permits accessory dwelling units. There's a proposed legislation that's out there that would allow you to build on your property up to a certain square footage, depending upon the square footage of your house, without having to come in for a variance. And the concern is that if we do that, then the town, if somebody wants to build something next to your property and doesn't have to go in for a variance, you won't have any say in that. So
Yeah,
we're a little bit concerned about that.
it also takes home rule away, and it just kind of steps right over our zoning laws, and our zoning board and joint land use board has always worked with the homeowners. We do have a handful of people that have put on like in-law suites and something to have a second family unit there, but at this case, what we're looking at is in the days of Airbnbs and so forth, these second accessory structures could be used for anything, and we'd have no control over them. So, Doug, do you have anything you have on?
I mean, I think the underlying goal is to create encourage the creation of additional housing units. The one size fits all sort of approach from above really fails to consider a lot of issues in the Pinelands. We're all on septic.
Mhm.
All those septic analysis points are based upon, one single family house on, in some cases, 3.2 acres average, and you're adding essentially another housing unit onto potentially each of those lots. Wasn't designed to accommodate that. So I just think it's, a very, very broad stroke to try and address an issue without considering all the unintended consequences. To your point, right now, if somebody wants to do an in-law suite or create an accessory dwelling unit for a parent in need, or a child with a disability, whatever the case may be, they have the ability to come before the board and get that approval, go through the Pinelands process and make sure that they meet all the standards, and this would sort of wipe that whole process away and just make it permitted, and drive home from work one night and see the dwelling going up next year where you didn't think one could go. So I just think it's a very significant overreach on the part of the state.
Do you have an opinion as to whether or not this would override the Pinelands regulations? Or they're going to be subject to litigation?
So, I mean, yeah, I think the Pinelands are going to be put in a tough position of saying you've got to comply with all of our technical criteria, when the state is also saying you have the absolute right to expand on your footprint. Where the ball falls on that match, I'm not really sure, but I think it's just going to create problems that have not been considered in the drafting of this legislation. If there was some program that wanted to incentivize towns in some way to consider this option, offer planning grants, and there may be towns, more developed towns, with public transportation and all those sorts of things, where it would make sense to try and encourage additional dwelling units, accessory units. We're not Collingswood. We're not, one of those towns that has those resources within walking distance. And so I just think they tend to look at things through a certain view of what is good for maybe one town that they have in mind, and apply it across the state, and it just doesn't really make sense. It's not to get too far afield here, but it's not unlike this tree ordinance issue that we just dealt with in the past year. What makes sense in a very, very developed town with a lot of impervious coverage, with sidewalks and gutters and curbs and all the things that have to do with traditional stormwater in highly developed towns, taking those same standards and trying to apply a broad rule to a town like Shamong that doesn't have, we have very sandy soil. We don't have typical drainage concerns that other parts of the state experience. It's just engrafted upon us an obligation that really doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I think this is more geared for the larger towns where they have a homeless population and they're trying to loosen the regulations where they can create more beds. And thank God we don't have that issue here in Shamong. And so I think it is a bit of an overreach. I like to, whenever we can, reduce our regulations for our population, for our neighbors, so that they can do with their property reasonably, that doesn't impact negatively their neighbors. But I think this is something that's a bit of an overreach as well. Does anybody else have any questions or comments? If not, can we have a motion on 2025 R-56? No motion, it does. Okay, seeing and hearing none.
Yeah, I just didn't have it in my packets. I don't have it.
You don't have it.
To look it over.
Oh,
again, yeah.
It is sent out by email. I
Oh,
think.
okay, so, yeah.
It was because this came in after I sent it out on Friday.
Okay.
So why don't we then put it off for our next meeting so everybody can have an opportunity to review it, and we'll go back and take a look at it again.
Okay.
So that's tabled.
And that's going to be the same with the next one as well, but we have talked about this other one.
Okay, so the next one is 2025 R-57, which would authorize the execution of an agreement of the sale for property off of Stokes Road, which is block 1201, lot 10. And that was just sent out by a separate email. So if people didn't get that, we can.
This was the the landlocked wet piece of ground for the township to purchase that we talked about a couple months ago.
Okay. Everybody familiar with that?
The person who is selling it wants to go ahead and sell it now per the terms of the contract, which for the public, we have an open space tax where we're trying to keep Shamong and get to the point where the state funding for preserved land will increase it to $20 an acre, and it's at $10 an acre. So we're getting to that point where we think we can get to that point in the not too distant future, but this is 5 acres and it's gonna cost us $5,800 for the 5 acres.
So we've talked about this. It makes a lot of sense, in my opinion. If we can get over that threshold, how many acres are we away from that? Any idea?
So the big addition will hopefully happen with Bighorn Solar. They've indicated that they're willing to dedicate the forest portion of that property to the township once they get through the approval process and construct what they have out there. I think then we become maybe within 100 acres or so of the goal, and then we start talking about really, I think, focusing on whether we can get over that threshold. But nominal value, roughly $1,000 an acre is a good pickup, and every acre is going to help. And if we can do the Bighorn thing and get that essentially for $1, it would put us in a position where if we can get over 60% of our acreage in that category townwide, it puts us to a higher value of pilot payment. It doubles our pilot payment from the state. The same one we were talking about 15 minutes ago being reduced, but
Right.
no,
Right.
we'll double the reduced number.
Got it. Okay, great. Are we comfortable? Everybody's seen this? If so, can we have a motion on 2025 R-57?
I'll make a motion to approve the sale
Thank you.
or purchase. I'll second it. Good.
Thank you.
Ms. Pizzaitis,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
Mr. Wilkinson.
Yes.
Mr. Woods.
Yes.
Mr. DeCoche.
Yes, next an ordinance 2025-5, which authorizes the acquisition of property at block 12.01, lot 10 off of Stokes Road within the township of Shamong.
So the resolution approves the terms of the agreement. This is putting in place the funding of it, and that's all done through an ordinance. The path of this is introduction tonight, if you so choose to, which again, it matches up the resolution that was just passed, and then final adoption at the June 3rd meeting.
Thank
Doug, anything you need to add?
No, just as you noted, June 3rd will be public hearing.
Yes.
Can I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you.
Second it.
Thanks.
Mr. Woods,
Yes.
Mr. Wilkinson.
Yes.
Ms. Pizzaitis,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
and Mr. DeCoche.
Yes, next is the approval of the bill list, which everyone was provided a copy with. The amount this quarter is $2,478,948.61. Sue, can you tell us why this number is higher than usual?
Yeah, we have the payment we have on the Dingletown grant improvements of 63,000, a county payment that's due quarterly, that's 853, almost 854,000. Lenape District gets 505,000, and Shamong Township Board of Ed gets another 900 and almost 16,000. So 142,000 of it is operating expense for the township. The rest is going to those 4 entities.
Got it. That's a little number on a big number, let me tell you. Okay, if there are no questions or comments, can I have a motion to pay the bills? If nobody makes a motion, we don't pay the bills.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Mr. Wilkinson.
Yes.
Mr. Woods.
Yes.
Ms. Pizzaitis,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
Mr. DeCroce.
Yes. Next, we're going to go to reports. I'd like to jump and invite Trooper Curran to come on up. He is from the Red Lion, New Jersey State Police, and we thank you for coming. You want to give us an update on what's happening at one of our neighborhoods in Woodgate?
Yes, absolutely. So I would say at least my time here, first off, I just want to say welcome for myself, because I was back here in 2021, but now I'm back. So
Good, congratulations.
I'll just keep
Welcome back.
going full circle. So as far as I've been here for the past like 2 months, I've been continuously doing property checks in addition to everyone else on the squad. I'm just checking up on the property on 10 Woodgate. In addition to during the mornings, evenings, and at night, it's continuous rotation. I've at least done I've probably been there like 30 times, to be honest with you, just going through whenever it's available, never the same time. Obviously don't want to just always be there at the same time, just to make sure just everything's different. Been seeing no issues as of late. I did bring up to my lieutenant, just basically some ordinances that there was possibly any hits for. I know he has some farm equipment on his property in addition to, but I know that's been moved and it hasn't been there, comes back and forth. But I don't think it violated any ordinances or anything like that. But we've definitely been in the area. They're all reported. They're all recorded how many times we've been out there. So that cat entry at least is there for us being cited and being there, and it's easily within the last 2 months, it's easily over 100 times. So we are visible there, we are present there. So as far as that, if there's any other questions, I at least be able to answer for you. But otherwise, we just continue to be in the area for 10-1 gate.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I think that the court hearing now is scheduled for May 20th. And we still have open violations for the alleged zoning violations that are also pending. So we really appreciate you going out. I know I've been out there when you have been out there as well. And I've driven by quite frequently as well. And it seems like there's less activity, although one evening last week I did see a few characters hanging around there. So
For sure.
hopefully we're gonna get that nip it in the bud and get that problem solved for our neighbors there.
There's nothing we haven't dealt with, so until then,
Yes, sir.
we'll stay.
We
front.
appreciate you, and let Lieutenant Long know that we appreciate having you come. Welcome back to Shamong.
Thank you.
Be a little
Absolutely.
gentle with our Shamong residents when you can,
Oh, absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
we appreciate what you guys do.
There you
I
go.
wanted to call you so you didn't have to stay for the rest of the meeting.
Oh, thank you very much, sir. I
All right.
appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
And you all be safe tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You as well, sir.
sir.
I know our zoning official is a little concerned that if there's any plea deals that happen at the court level, they'll probably go for the heavier things and just wash our zoning violations away to the side.
Yeah, we'll,
So there's been a lot of work on our end to do that, and if we lose that in a deal that goes on at the court level that we have no control over, it'll be very frustrating.
Yeah, I've already reached out to the prosecutor in the case, and when I speak to him again, I'll mention that we don't want that as part of the deal. And I do know that a number of neighbors have already written to Judge Haynes, so if anybody's interested, send him a letter. It will have a great impact to try and cure this problem.
Yeah, because at this point in time, we're out of control in that, and if the court decides to negotiate us out of this, it's
Good point.
not going to be very fun for us.
Next, we're gonna go to our township engineer. Joe, good evening. You got
Good
anything
evening.
further?
I do have a couple updates I
All
can give. I left everybody a copy of my report. It's a lot of red, but it's not so bad. First item we discussed already in Shawnee Lane. Second item is the annual stormwater report, which was due May 1st, which has been submitted. Everything is up to snuff there. I am preparing a street sweeping map for Sue. I'm talking to DEP about what actually has to be swept versus what does not, so that I'm trying to minimize the amount we actually have to sweep. So that map will be forthcoming, and then I did get word from Chesterfield is buying a sweeper.
Okay,
So
good.
make sure that we reach out to them once they have their program set up.
Yep.
Might be a good shared service. Just wait for somebody in the general area to get one. Yeah, it looks
Yeah.
like they're gonna be the one. For the DOT grants, there's no number there, I don't know why, I lost it. The 2020 grant for Grassy Lake Phase 2, Grassy Lake Phase 3, Grassy Lake Phase 4, Sign Phase 1 and 2. All that paperwork has been submitted to DOT for the rest of the reimbursements for all those grants. They have to do an inspection as part of their process before they'll release any final payments. So that's where they all stand. They're all in the same boat. So that takes us basically up to item 7. Now I see, because I have 2 number 7s. Sign Road Phase 3, our survey work is done. We're working on our design plans for that, and then we'll send it to DOT for approval to bid. That's the first phase at the north side coming south.
Any idea how many miles or what the distance will be with that coverage?
I think it's 3/4 of a mile.
3/4. It's amazing that it costs that much.
I know.
It's very frustrating.
It is very frustrating. The second number 7 there is the 2026 grant that we talked about earlier, which is due July 1st. That'll be the next phase that we'll apply for. The item number 9 is the local rec improvement grant that we just approved the change order and first payment for. All the construction work of the project is done, came out great. We got a lot of the path done. We restriped the handicap parking and put up new signage, compliant signage for handicap. It's basically the gist of that whole project, so. But the construction work's complete, so it's just paperwork at this point. For the item 10, which is the 2025 local rec improvement grant that we were awarded $75,000 for. We're working on a concept plan still at Dingletown Park, some of the field work, a couple drainage situations we have to rectify. And if there's any money left, we'll do more path there as well.
Okay, great.
And then item number 11, this just got announced. This municipal parks development grant used to be around 3 years ago, I think was the last time they awarded grant funding for that. So from what I understand, there's been $5 million placed in that program. And so that grant application is available again. So they're due June 27th, 2025. So again, it's similar to DOT in the fact that we need a resolution of support. Prior to that, as part of the grant application process, it has to be adopted prior to. And I believe for this one, there's a public hearing that has to happen too, but it can be on the agenda, just an extra public comment session for that. But we should decide what we want to do next.
So let's put that on the agenda for early June or next meeting, so.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll try to coordinate with you ahead of time and we'll try to get, at least 1 or 2 good projects together. We can finalize at the next meeting.
All right, that'd be great. I think that would be a good thing for us.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So on the At Sign Road and the Grassy Lake, just for the public's information, all of that work that was done, and our biggest issue was the flooding that used to occur on Grassy Lake. Coming from most of our houses, you had to go through a little pond when it rained. I'm happy to say are we 4 years in after we've done that? I'm losing track of
Probably
time.
about that.
Is that, not,
Or at least 3.
the first couple phases, yes.
Yeah, so that's when,
First one was a 2020 grant? Yeah.
yeah, so.
Phase 2
5
was a 2020 grant.
Yeah, so it's a long time. I'm happy to say that the 7 used to be 3 just drainage pits there. There are 7, and most of the storms it's worked since then. I think only one was a little bit, you couldn't quite go fishing, but there was a little bit of water there. So, but the
Sometimes-
point is that all of that road work that's been done, we were able to get grants for and not have to come out of pocket from our local taxpayers. So thank you for doing that. And we appreciate the success, and we're hopefully going to get At Sign Road done if we can get it so that there's a more safe area for the bike riders.
Absolutely.
That would be a great thing to do.
Will do.
Anything else?
No, that's all I have for now.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate you.
Yep.
Next, we're going to go to our solicitor, Doug Heinold. Welcome, Doug.
Thank you. Just a couple of quick updates. For the property that we acted on tonight on the acquisition, we'll prepare the deed and related documents. We did ask Joe's office to do a quick review to make sure this isn't on a DEP list somewhere. It's not. And then as soon as the ordinance is adopted in the June meeting, we will just go ahead and close the transaction, coordinate with Sue relative to the funds, and probably just get that done by mail. The only other thing I want to update on is, I wouldn't say we're making a great leap forward on Bighorn Solar, but there is progress, continued progress. They are still waiting for a response back from Atlantic City Electric on their proposals for their 2 projects, companion projects for solar out there on the landfill and on the Murphy's Pit site. They have submitted to Pinelands Commission and are before Pinelands with respect to those to get a certificate of filing. They will then be submitting to the township for approvals relative to those projects. And the tax lien foreclosure on the landfill site is nearly complete. So I hope maybe next meeting I can say it's complete and not nearly complete again, but I will keep you updated. And I've been checking with Steve Goen, the attorney for Bighorn, every month just to give you the latest and greatest on that. Generally speaking, I think things are moving in the right direction again still. And so just hopefully have good progress this year and see that project finally come to fruition.
Yeah, let's see what we can do to fast track all of that. Appreciate your efforts there.
Sure.
Anything further, sir?
That's it.
Okay. Next, we're going to go to a township administrator, Sue Honorado. She's going to give us up to date on the building code office and other things that are happening.
So April is typically a very busy month for my department. We have the annual recycling tonnage grant report that was completed. Communities annual report was completed. Stormwater management annual report was completed. We did the rabies clinic and the budget was finalized and all the back office work on that. So all those things are taken care of and we're moving forward. And then just a reminder, our next meeting is June the 3rd and the primary is on June 10th. And again, look at your ballots for your voting locations and election booths open at 6 a.m. I'm sure there'll be information will be coming forth on early voting as well as where locations that you can do that. In your meeting packets are the other reports for the other areas. If you have any questions on them, let me know. And if I can't answer it, I will get an answer for you.
What's the situation regarding the voting booths this year?
We are going to be using the same equipment that we used last year. They are giving me in this room another voting option. So we'll have a triple and a double, whereas for the presidential, we just had 2 doubles. So we're, and I believe they're going to do the same for next door at the Lenape Regional Board of Ed building. So I guess they've heard us and trying to move forward with that.
So those of you that have voted in person last time, you may have experienced delay. It was a big problem, you know, around through the entire county. So we've made it known that we need some to get that readdressed, and it looks like we're getting an additional machine in each. So if you can vote by mail, do that. If you're you can track your votes now. People were concerned about their vote not being counted, but you can actually track them, so that's making people a little more comfortable. But once again, the election date is June 10th, and our next meeting will be June 3rd. And just on the rabies, I'd like to acknowledge Dr. Dazen, and for our staff that went out, Sue was out there, and John Lyons was out there, and all of our volunteers. I want to publicly acknowledge them and thank them for coming out. And we're happy that Chrissy is here. We'll plug you in next year for that. And since I just lost my dog not too long ago, I may be able to help you with a, well, I don't know about adopt, but I can maybe foster for a little bit and help out.
You know what happens.
Yeah, I know.
It's done.
I know that'll probably happen. All right, anybody, Sue, anything else?
That's all I have.
All right, great, thank you. We're going to open the meeting back up to public comment, and anybody have any comments or feel free to come on up. Yes, sir.
Lyons, Emergency Management. I didn't submit a formal report for this quarter, just wanted to bring you up on a couple of items. Again, I want to echo the rabies clinic, very successful. The turnout was good. I wanted to acknowledge that Medford Pet Supplies, I'd actually reached out to them, and in the concept of emergency evacuations around the time when we had, half of South Jersey was on fire and people were evacuating from the shore. It was fresh in people's minds. So what we asked Medford Pet Supplies if they would supply us with some small sample size cat and dog food. And the last stop as you were leaving, we gave people a bag that had not only the samples in it, but a lot of literature about emergency preparations and planning for your pets. And the idea was to start them on a go bag for your animals. We talk a lot about preparation and being able to evacuate and have what you need as people, but we had a very big focus on that. People really seem to appreciate that. Everybody took a bag. They have lots of information from us. So some of the different entities that were there besides the township staff, obviously, our public works folks were a big help. Our community emergency response team is mobilized for that. They help out with paperwork, traffic, logistics, handouts, and everything. Burlington County loaned us a person from the County Animal Response Team, CART, who were also very active with us. And the fire company assisted with all the traffic and logistics. So it was a great group of people, and we appreciate it. And Burlington County and Shamong's support on that. There's a couple of outreach events happening soon, but I wanted to highlight Memorial Day weekend. Both fire company, myself, emergency management, and CERT team will be helping out in Tabernacle on Saturday, the 24th for their parade. Then we have our event on the 25th, which we spoke about earlier. And then a number of resources also going on Monday, the 26th over to Medford and Medford Lakes. So it'll be a busy weekend for us, but we appreciate your support on that. We have some events coming up in June as well. I mentioned the tournaments and the coin drop, but on June 7th, had a meeting this morning with the school. The resource officer from state police and the superintendent, they're planning a first ever bike rodeo safety tour, which will be held at the Memorial School on Indian Mills Road. And that particular Saturday, they're going to invite kids and their parents from all the surrounding areas, Southampton, Tabernacle, and Shamong schools, to come there and actually get a free helmet. It's sort of like a safety course that they're going to build in the parking lot and take the kids through it and help them understand road signs and bike safety and such. So it's something that the state police is trying to push this program, and we're going to support them with logistics and resources and other things for it. So we'll probably see an announcement publicly for that. I told them I would help them with an application just for awareness, but that's coming up. I don't know if you'd heard that before, but
Who's donating the helmets, John?
I think it's coming from the state police program, and then they have a couple of there's an e-bike vendor out of Medford that I think is going to be there with some e-bikes to kind of loan them out and try them, give some safety tips on it, that sort of thing. So it's still being developed. The Forked Neck Road closure, which has already been approved by the committee, is on that Sunday, June 8th. And that's for the Good Day for a Run 5K that happens from Valenzano. We close the road from 206 on Forked Neck up to the ball field and just route people around it for a few, like an hour or two that Sunday morning. But we need to reach out. I see some new residents on some of the horse farms.
Or do you want me to?
I'm sorry.
Did you already reach out to IMAA on that?
Yeah, I've made them aware of
Okay,
it,
thank
and I want to reach out to some of the new ranch owners. I think one of the ones that the Shamong dressage I know has been sold, and that was one that had some concerns in the past. I used to reach out to her personally to make sure they were aware of it in case they want to put their horses in the backfields. So I'll reach out to the new owner. I see their phone numbers on the sign, and we already talked about our coin drop. For the fire company report, which was on the agenda, I defer to Chief Bader's report, which you've all received. If you have any questions, I defer to him. Would it be appropriate to be able to ask a question or just bring up some commentary on the budget? I know it was just introduced, but I had some
absolutely.
thoughts. All right, thank you. So I may have read it wrong. I just did a quick glance on it. It looks like the support for the fire company remains consistent from what it was from 2024. So thank you for that. And there was an additional 35, which I think is the capital for the truck purchase that we've been talking about. And I know that you all have heard me come up here about 4 or 5 times now and ask for that additional amount to cover the purchase of that truck. That number doesn't appear to have changed in the introduction. So I just once again wanted to come up in full transparency. Now we had a wonderful workshop with Dave where we went through and looked at used vehicle pricing market, talked about gov deals, looked at the Fords versus the Chevys. The state pricing for those were about the same. We talked about our needs. Dave, I don't know if you want to share and comment on your perspective on it, but it was a useful conversation. I came away with it knowing that I think we have Dave's support between what our needs are realistic and the numbers are consistent for what we're looking for. The problem is the shortfall of the money for it, and it's a real concern for our budget as well. And I was hoping that we would be able to have a conversation that would continue about taking the reserve money from last year. If you remember the timeline on this, we had originally identified the need for this vehicle back when Mayor Gimbel was here, and we went through our strategic plan. We deferred the purchase in 2024 because the money wasn't there. It was 35K in the budget for that. And that's now since lapsed into reserve, if I understand the way that works. So it looks like it's been introduced again at the same amount for this year. We have the same challenge again, but we do have at least all of the homework done, the numbers, et cetera, and we're happy to partner with you. So we can answer any questions on that, take it offline, however you want to handle it. Just, I'm just concerned about our ability to execute on that.
Yep, let me tell you where we are.
And we moved away from the lease versus purchase because I think we saw that the lease pricing just made no financial sense.
Absolutely.
So thank you for helping us, with the financial homework on it.
Yep, I want to thank Dave for meeting with those guys. I know he's going to come up with a deal that's going to save us a lot of money and get you guys exactly what you need.
I've been doing some research, contacting other dealers. We talked about the Fords and Chevys and different vehicle types, and I think we got it narrowed down to what they're looking for. I just wanted to do a little bit more homework, waiting for some more estimates to come in, just to make sure that we're all on the same page.
Sure. All right. I appreciate
And
it.
so you still have the 35. What you're asking for is additional funds, and that we would need to have a discussion, with the board. Our concern obviously is we have, what is the number that we kicked in for the fire truck?
Increase, well, the fire truck will be coming
Next year, right?
next year, but then we've also increased our annual contribution from the community to 70,000. So it was a $15,000 increase that you're getting every year
Yep.
in operating.
Plus, don't forget that $800,000 truck. So make sure you get it.
Forget it at all.
You put that nickel toll up at the, that the,
No, we're hoping you guys all want to come out. We'll give you buckets and help us figure out how to pay
Right.
for all this.
I'll come out and
Yeah,
help you.
I mean, it's not a budget workshop meeting. I don't want to take your time to go
Yes, sir.
through the costs.
Appreciate that.
You
We got it
understand
on our
what
radar.
challenge
Yeah, we
is.
have it on our radar. If we had the money, we'd write the check. We're trying to be as sensitive to the taxpayers' needs as well as giving you guys what you need. So
We were
I
hoping
think
to
we
take
gotta,
advantage of the reserve funds that had passed over, that we would be able to pull that without increasing or touching your operational budget for the year. I don't
But this year
understand the
without that,
mechanics.
we already had to go over the 1.3 million in surplus. We've already had to exceed that without an additional 35. So we're over where we were the last 2 years in what we use in our surplus already this year. That's the problem.
that's our issue.
Yeah.
But we got it. We got
did
it.
With a lot of increases
Yeah,
as well.
I
in
figured it was
2020.
at introduction stage. We've talked about it, at every juncture we can, and it's my responsibility to continue to just bring forth our concerns and needs. Chief, if you have anything you want to add to that.
I don't control the money, so.
Yes, sir.
What
Right.
happens if Dave identifies a good deal? It's over the 35,000, but let's say it's less than the 70. What do we do it at?
But
As a
the
con-
actual state contract pricing came in at 82.
At
Just
82,
for full
okay.
Disclosure, that's what.
I have it here if
So,
you
it's
guys
both
want this.
The Ford and the Chevy. I think the 70 was based on our estimations when we did this exercise for the budget workshop the year prior. Which was the.
And from what I remember talking to Charlie, that none of the
That's
equipment
50,
that's in your current
50,
unit could be transferred over
brand
to
new,
new
yeah.
one. Like the,
Really the radios and stuff transferred over.
yeah,
everything else.
but everything that's structurally in the back of the current truck, you can't use any of that
Yeah.
over again. You got it.
I mean, it's all 18 years old now.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Anybody else have any questions or
Yeah.
comments?
I just
Please.
want to add, we were talking about the rabies clinic and I don't want to pass up, Mr. Wilkinson came out and helped us in the rain 2 years in a row now.
Nice, thank you.
Volunteering
It was
services
a lot of
and
fun.
was running around
Really
with John
enjoyed it.
and I collecting
Thank you.
paperwork from
Awesome.
car to car.
Appreciate that.
Thank you for that.
Yes, Chrissy, round two. Next time, we're gonna get you a softer chair to sit in. How about that would be?
How many animals are vaccinated?
I believe it was 54.
Anybody else? Okay, seeing and hearing none, we're gonna close this portion of the public comment. And there being no further business, we're going to request a motion for adjournment.
I make a motion. I'll second it.
It was just like,
I'll
Neil.
second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Have
you,
a good
everyone, for
night.
coming out. Have a safe week. Good luck with the baby and welcome to Shamong.
Good luck.